Welcome, 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 everybody. Happy Monday. It is Monday, I think it's November the 12th. What is November the 13th? The 12th? Okay, all right. I'm Jen.
I'm sorry. I was still muted. And I'm Monique.
And we
Gems
are
to Monday.
and we are here to just help educate and help inform our generation as well as others in all things finance and tax. We're just two moms out here just trying to make a dent in this financial services industry and trying to help all those all along the way. And so welcome. We weren't here last week. I know y'all missed us, but we
Yeah.
definitely have a jam-packed broadcast for you today. So, we're going to be talking about taxes. So before we get into that, how you doing, Monique? How's your day going?
I'm, I'm doing pretty good. I'm super excited. Can't complain. Been doing a little bit of running around, getting things together for the homeless and the holidays. But other than that, I'm amazing. How about you?
Okay. Just trying to get things together for the holidays, and just kind of juggling kids and all that good stuff. So yeah. So first things first, welcome to our page, welcome to our channel. As always, if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you are viewing on our Facebook pages, don't keep all this great information to yourself. Go ahead and share, share, and share. All right, let's see if we got some comments from viewers. Okay, so we got Tina. Hey Tina, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in today. Absolutely, thanks for tuning in. All right, who else? Do we have anybody else online? Is everybody? Let's see where everybody is tuning in from. Where is everybody tuning in from? I know we got some, I know we're in the state of Maryland. We are located in the state of Maryland, but I'm sure we got some people outside the state that's tuning in that wants to hear that good information. What you think, Monique?
I believe so. I know my Facebook followers have grown tremendously. So I know I have people all over definitely tuning in. So I'm super excited about that.
Absolutely. And so while everybody is still liking and sharing, or like, sharing, and subscribing, I'm going to make sure that I share it to my Facebook pages as well. For those who aren't following my business page at JMJ Services, why aren't you? If you're not following Monique, what are you doing? But anyway, I'm gonna share that video so everybody has an opportunity to view in that information. And so let's see here. All right. So Monique, tell us a little bit about a little bit more about your charitable efforts. Like, what do you do around the holidays to help those who are less fortunate?
So for the last, this would be year number 4 that I decided on my own to do something for the homeless. Like my day-to-day charitable contributions is literally if I have leftover food, cook too much food, or things that I don't necessarily want to throw in the trash, because my grandmother always told me that it's people out here that's starving or that's hungry. Like, don't waste food, right? So I always had that in my mind that no, we're not going to waste anything around here. So day to day, I'm definitely passing out food, passing out change here and there. Um, but again, for the last 4 years, the first year, we did like a turkey, ham, chicken giveaway in a box with your veggies and your sides to put a meal together that you had to go home and actually prepare yourself. The second year, it was pretty cold outside, so we was like, maybe not. So the next year, we decided to, me and my sister decided to actually cook for the homeless, but it was a success. But I would say that if we were going to do that again, we needed to do that like a week before Thanksgiving, because everybody was giving out food on Thanksgiving. So it was like almost impossible for us to get rid of half of the stuff that, we had boxed up. So last year, I decided to do care packages. And I really like that because you got to remember that they still need personal hygiene stuff. They still need sweaters and coats and hats and things like that if they're out, in the streets. So I decided to do that, and it was a success. So that's what I'm doing again this year, just doing the care packages and just going to be passing them out in my travels. I actually enjoy, giving back. It makes me feel good just to know, because again, everyone doesn't have it, and I get it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this year.
Awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing, Monique. Definitely giving back is important. Let's see if we had any more comments. Well, hey, Mr. Mitra, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. I think we got a new one. Oh, Hey Tamara, how you doing from New York? All right, thanks for tuning in.
New
We
York.
definitely appreciate you viewing in. That's amazing, right? We about to be worldwide. We about to be worldwide. I'm telling you. Okay, so let's get into kind of what we came on today. So when we're having our planning meetings talking about different topics that are relevant to our communities and to our viewing communities and what we want to talk about, we thought about, okay, but what are people really thinking about right now? What are people really, is on people's minds in terms of finance and taxes? And of course, it's getting prepared for the tax season. As you all know, the tax season, it may start once you begin e-filing in January, but it actually starts much earlier than that. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to use, Monique's expertise, and I might chime in on a couple, and we're going to give you what you need and the information you need, whether you're an individual, whether you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur, and what you need to get prepared and get ahead of tax time. All right. So let's get this show on the road.
All right now.
All right. So actually, you know what? My bad, y'all. I act like y'all didn't see that. Okay. So we're gonna start from the beginning. All right. So 6 reasons to hire a tax pro. I'll let you take the wheel on that, Monique.
One of the main things that stick out to why you want to hire a tax pro is I'll give you a scenario to say, like, you could probably do your own hair, right? But the professionals, are is licensed. They know the ins and the outs and the tricks and the latest hairstyles and things like that. I'm just using that for an example. So you want to hire a tax pro because we have to be in compliant. We have to be up to date with the laws, the regulations. We know what deductions and what credits you qualify for. So that's definitely one benefit to hire a tax professional. The e-filing process is pretty quick and fast and rapid when you have a tax professional versus using the non-professional software. And that's another thing too. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, you're just doing data entry. Yes, I mean, most of it is data entry, but um, the professional software has different features within than just the consumer software, right? So you'll hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I went to H&R Block or went to a Liberty. I'm not, down in these companies, and I didn't get nothing back." But then when I went to Monique or I went to Jennifer, I was able to get back, a couple thousand more dollars, right? Because we're trying to make sure that whatever deductions you qualify for, whatever credits that you qualify for, that you get that. You don't want to shortchange yourself, right? So I say that it's definitely a benefit to sit down with a professional versus trying to, do it all by yourself, right? And possibly get audited. And with it, the IRS is amazing. The IRS is amazing, Jen, ain't they? But you
Yeah.
don't want to get into big time trouble with the IRS, right? It could be a simple clerical error that you may have done, and that can just delay your tax refund. Then they want all of this proof and information of proving your child that's really your child just because of one simple clerical error. So it's good to have a tax professional on your side because they can represent you in case of an audit, right? And then just less stress. Like, you got a million and one other things going on throughout the year, so you just want to have a smooth transition to file your taxes and just let the professionals do it. So this is what I get from hiring a tax pro. What would you like to say, Jen, in regards to hiring a tax pro as well?
I think that I believe that it's it's better if you at least have somebody you can ask questions, you can bounce stuff off. I understand that people want to do everything themselves, but you really have to be honest with yourself. And if numbers and data entry just ain't your thing and you get too flustered, but you're trying to save a couple dollars, kind of do a cost benefit analysis and really kind of and analyze which is better, which is more beneficial for you, saving that, saving those couple of dollars, but you're stressed out because you're having to do stuff and you don't understand the tax laws, or paying those extra dollars and being comfortable knowing that you're, hired a trusted tax professional that'll take that burden off your plate. So
Yep,
absolutely. So
absolutely.
all right, so and for those viewing, this is an interactive talk, so feel free to chime in with questions and comments that you may have from your own personal situations. We like audience participation. So let's see. All right. So accountant versus bookkeeper. I like this one. What's the difference? What's the difference? So you can see the slide, but let me give you my interpretation. I, by trade, am an accountant. I graduated with an accounting degree, class of 2023, Village Julie College, Stevenson University. So I have been studied and trained in accounting. Now, bookkeeper, I can do that as well. So really what the difference is just the services that we provide. So bookkeepers, they're more your day-to-day data entry, entering in accounts payable transactions, cutting checks, entering in expenses, doing payroll, those day-to-day functions that help you move your business. Those are more suited for a bookkeeper. An accountant really comes into play when you're at month end or when you're at year end and you need to reconcile accounts. You need to look at trends. You need to do some variance analysis and see if things don't look right, reclassify transactions, and so on and so forth. So, accountants are more for the analytics, and bookkeeping is more for the data entry. Now, an accountant can also be a bookkeeper. But a bookkeeper, in my opinion, can't be an accountant because there's a certain level of schooling and education and training that we get as an accountant that you maybe can get it from professional experience. Maybe if you were a
Mhm.
bookkeeper and you were promoted into doing accounting like roles, maybe you can transition, but you can't just come off the street and say I'm an accountant and you don't have any experience or education to prove it. And so that's really the core difference. And so what I've heard from a lot of people I've talked to and a lot of people that know what I do is there's also a misconception between CPAs and accountants. Now, CPA is an acronym that stands for Certified Public Accountant. And so is an accountant always a CPA? And that is no. I'm an accountant. I am not a CPA. A CPA is a designation, much like a lawyer has a designation, much like a doctor has a designation. But the difference is with a CPA, the only difference is that you can issue audit opinions and you just have a little more credibility out there in the industry. But as an accountant, I can do the same things with the exception of issuing audit opinions and compilations and things like that. So that's something I hear a lot. And I tell people, with all due respect, don't call me a CPA, because a CPA, there is a lot of studying and preparation that goes into passing that very rigorous exam and earning those three letters. And I don't want to disrespect anybody that has a CPA degree, but so that's pretty much the difference. All right. I mean, do you have anything you want to add to that, Monique?
No, that was good, Jen. You hit it right on the nose, and the only thing I would, like I said, chime in with the CPA thing. You're absolutely right about that, because CPA versus a tax preparer, there are two different things as well. A tax preparer is literally what it is, right? Whereas though, I've had clients before ask me, well, are you a certified public accountant? And I'm like, well, what is the reason that you need to know if I'm a certified public accountant or not, if I've been doing your taxes for, let's just say the last 5 years? And then, you'll get the response, well, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, why would you go to a certified public accountant and pay more money? Because again, they have that set of credentials where they can give different type of advice, or even charge more for certain things, when I can do the same thing. So yeah, that was good, Jen. You're absolutely right about the different acronyms, and what they stand for, and good. Yep.
And you know what? You actually brought up something else I wanted to mention. Um, can just because can an accountant should do accountants automatically know how to do taxes? No. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Now, mind you, it is something that is part of our curriculum in which we obtain our degree. But there are many different ways, there are many different paths that you can take once you graduate with an accounting degree. Me personal story, like I said, I graduated, I got an accounting degree, went behind that, got a master's degree in business, and I went straight into the private sector. I did month end closing procedures, which consisted of account reconciliations and all that stuff. I didn't want to have anything to do with tax prep, because the whole time I was matriculating through college, I used to hear horror stories about how people doing taxes straight out of college, you're at the bottom of the barrel, you have to work 80 hours a week doing taxes. And I was like, I don't want to work no 80 hours a week. So instantly I was like, I'm not doing anything tax related. I'm gonna go stage left, and I'm gonna do private sector. But when I realized that, when I stumbled upon wanting to become a business owner in this field, and I realized how integral it was to know and be able to do tax preparation, then I realized maybe I should have bit the bullet and took a couple of, and took a couple of jobs doing tax prep. But nonetheless, just because you're an accountant doesn't mean you know how to do taxes. Just because you're a tax professional doesn't mean you know how to do accounting. So make sure when you're finding this pro that you're vetting them. I mean, just think about it. Steve Harvey, he talked about this many times over many channels, about how he had to pay the IRS back $7 million because he had an accountant that was stealing from right under his nose, cutting checks for the IRS liabilities and never mailing them in. So it appeared as though they were paying the IRS, but they never were, because they never mailed the checks. And so what I say to say that,
Right.
I say vet your people. Don't just trust me because I went to school, I got 2,000 degrees and I look smart. Vet me out. Vet me out. Make sure I know and that you can trust me to not take advantage of you and really do the job that you hired me to do. So,
Good stuff, Jen.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Yeah, yeah, it's one that's true to my heart. All right, so Monique, you take this one.
All righty. So tax prep for small businesses. Um, this is a good one because when you're starting out in business, you're literally all over the place. And I say that because it shows through tax time. My self-employed people, they come with to me and they want me to figure it all out, and I'm like, whoa, like, was you doing any bookkeeping, any record keeping throughout the year? Like, I mean, you just want me to look at all these numbers and figure it out, right? So the first thing you want to do is keep your personal separate from your business. You definitely want to get a business account. That'll help you out tremendously with keeping them expenses separate. Like, literally, if you're swiping your card for business, that's what it should be just for. If you're swiping another card for personal, that's what it should be for. So when it's time and we get to tax season, it's black and white, right? We know that these certain accounts and spreadsheets is for business, and these certain accounts and spreadsheets is for personal, right? But when you're using one card for both, now I gotta say, well, was this meal a business expense? Was it gas? Did you go back and forth to the office? Like, that's a lot of stress. It's just a lot of headache. So I definitely recommend on the front end getting a business account, and also possibly hiring a bookkeeper to be able to keep up with your expenses throughout the year, because you can get easily caught up in just doing business, and your paperwork is not in order. And then again, when you get to tax time, you want your tax professional just to figure it all out, and it is kind of like a tedious process, right? um Also, you want to check for any deductions that you qualify for. So, our W 2 people, especially the single ones, high income earners, you don't really qualify for a lot. The IRS just don't cater to you guys as much. It's sad to say. So, self-employed or small businesses is definitely a great benefit, but you want to make sure that you find every deduction, any credits that you qualify for, to bring down your tax liability ultimately. Because let's just say you're making 100K in a year, whatever expenses and deductions you can write off to bring down your tax liability, you want to do that, because that'll be a benefit for you to pay taxes on less, right? Also, file on time. If you don't file on time, you're gonna get hit with a whole bunch of penalties and interest for no reason, right? It's just, if you keeping good records in the beginning, you have no reason not to file taxes on time. And you also want to do quarterly taxes. That's not something that's up here, but for business owners, if you're doing estimated quarterly taxes, that'll alleviate a lot of stress as well when it comes to tax time, because you already paid a percentage quarterly based on how much money you think you're going to make for the whole year. Jen, what would you say? I know you got a little bit to say about this too, from the bookkeeping side, because you actually do a couple people books that has small businesses, right?
We're not gonna air their dirty laundry out here on these social media streets, but let's just say, um, it definitely is helpful. Number one, to keep those business and personal expenses separate. Not only can it save yourself a headache, it could save you some money, because if you hire someone like me and I see that you don't separate your business and personal expenses, first we're going to have a come to Jesus moment. And I'm going to let you know that this is probably not ideal. And then it might cost a little bit more, because that's just more work for me. And if you don't, if you just go straight to a tax person, that's more work for them. So that could cost you more on the front end. So definitely keep those separate. And I know this slide says for small businesses, but even for individuals, keep all of your documents and all of your information intact. I switched, I do my own taxes, and I switched ways of kind of preparing. Before, I used to just print out everything and have a folder. Last year, I downloaded everything and had electronic files, but just keep your stuff, excuse me, in an organized fashion so that when it comes time to go to the tax professional, or if you do it yourself, to do it yourself, you're not scrambling around, and you're not missing out on deductions that could lower that tax liability and possibly give you a greater refund if you're owed. So we have a comment. Thank you, Miss Lynette Garris. She says, "Are there any apps that you recommend to use to help with the record keeping process?" So from the bookkeeping perspective, there is an app called, I think it's called Mint. It's made by the company that makes QuickBooks, TurboTax. Intuit is the parent company, and they're a company where they cater to those people who just want to organize their personal expenses, their transactions that they have personally, without having to install a like system like a company or a business would. So that's one app that I would use to kind of keep your expenses organized as you go throughout the year. Because to be honest, we don't really think about tax time until January 1st. And then it's like full speed ahead trying to get everything. So, Mint, yes, yes, Mint, Mint, yes. It's made by Intuit. Intuit, Intuit, is the parent company. They also parent QuickBooks as well as TurboTax. And so, Monique, do you have any apps that you recommend to your clients? Like if they come into you right off the streets with no organization?
Not any apps per se. I always just try to say to them that let's get some type of, like you said, QuickBooks or some type of spreadsheet in place. But no apps. No, no apps.
Okay. And so for businesses, for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small businesses, I also would recommend investing in a accounting software like a QuickBooks. They have I was not paid by QuickBooks to say this. I just like QuickBooks and I use it with my clients. They give you a variety range of options, from you just being a small business owner or an entrepreneur
Mhm.
that just wants to keep things organized, to you being a full-fledged business with employees. And so that's another option for those who have businesses on more of a larger scale that need something to pull everything together. And you can also, they also do financial statements and all of that for you. And so that's another avenue that you can go for a small business owner.
Okay, good stuff.
That's about it.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's always important. That's
Yeah.
always important because we I'm speaking for me. I don't like, I welcome helping people. I love helping people. But if I can give them tips to help
Mhm.
both of us, then
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So we can be a little more proactive. So that's that. And so let's see, 6 tax tips for year round planning. Okay, so I'll take the driver's seat on this. So tax planning to me, when I hear tax planning, it's just the ability to be able to plan kind of how you what you do with your money, so that it can benefit you in at the end of the year when you're preparing your taxes. And so that involves a lot of the times maximizing your deductions as you can. Okay, and so establishing a 401k plan. Now, that can be both individually beneficial and beneficial for a business owner. And I'll let Monique touch base on the business owner side. But for an individual, you can contribute up to a certain amount in your 401k plan because the government now wants us to start contributing to our own retirement versus companies contributing to our retirements in the form of pensions, which no longer exist. And so they gave us certain tax benefits so that it would encourage us to build these retirement plans, such as 401k. 401k is actually a tax code. It just is a umbrella of tax advantaged savings to where we are taking the money is being taken out, whether automatically or it's usually automatically from our employer,
Mm-hmm.
pre-tax, going
Yep.
into a fund, and then we're getting somewhat of a benefit for it now because we're taking the initiative and creating a retirement. And then later on down the line, once you get over the age of 59 and a half, then there's certain other rules that come into play. So make charitable donations. That's another big itemized deduction. And so I suggest, if you have a house of worship or you have a church that you are affiliated with, you know, based on whatever your faith may be, your giving to the church may be part of that. And so you also can get a benefit from that as well. Just as long as the church or the organization is a 501c3 titled organization, which means that they're a legalized by the IRS code charitable organization. Let's see. Invest in stocks and bonds, and I'll add mutual funds to that as well. Definitely doing that because the Monique, help me out with this. So you may have some tax implications on like capital gains and dividends, if I'm not correct, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but just planning how you're putting that money in there so that you can determine, okay, well, I put all this money in a mutual fund account, investment account, and I have this much capital gains at the end of the year. And of course, there's rules to how much of a percentage is taxed up to a certain limit and all of that. And that way it can help you get prepared for figuring out how much you owe or how much is owed to you in taxes. Considering a Roth IRA
Mm-hmm.
is another advantage plan. It's actually an unqualified plan because you know you are paying into it after the taxes are coming out. So you are
Mm-hmm.
paying into it after your money has already been taxed and it comes into your bank account, and you're putting forth that money. You have a maximum amount that you can contribute that can be somewhat deducted from your tax liability as well. I'll let Monique take the last two on that.
Okay. We got a comment too. You want to take the comment first?
Sure. So, all right. So Lynette asks, what's the amount that you can write off on clothes and shoes that you donate to the Goodwill? So Monique, what's the max amount for donations that aren't cash?
So it's normally $10. up to 60% of your adjusted gross income. I see that you also receipt and they want you to fill it out yourself. So it's kind of like I would judge based on whatever you contributed to your church, like Jen said earlier. And then if they do give you a blank form, for your clothes and your shoes, you can kind of just, add that amount in based on what you've already contributed with your church up to 60% of your adjusted gross income.
Okay.
um, Contribute to an HSA account for medical expenses. So this is just another savings vehicle that can benefit you tax time as well. It's money that you put in an account that you can set aside for medical expenses that you have to pay out of pocket. Because a lot of times we might have health insurance through our job, but we know that certain medications or certain doctor's appointments or certain prescriptions are just not covered. So again, you can have that money set aside in that vehicle, and of course, it's a tax benefit for you to reduce your taxable income when it's time. Um, Paying off your mortgage early. I don't know why this one is really up here because it's still considered an itemized deduction. So again, that goes again with your charitable donations and any other like house repairs maybe that you might need to write off, but it's all in that category of itemized deductions. So I don't really know how paying off your mortgage would be a benefit, but like I said, that 1098 mortgage insurance statement that you get if you do have a home is definitely considered an itemized deduction along with any other itemized deductions that you may have.
Great information, Monique. Can you expand a little bit on itemized deductions versus standard deductions? Which one should I take?
It just definitely depends on your situation. So your itemized deductions is normally like again if you have any charity, if you have any you have a house, you want to have any house repairs, you would normally take that itemized deduction, and normally that's for like a lot of single older people. I see, or like let's just say you have gambling expenses and winnings, that's considered an itemized deduction as well. Your standard deduction is most people, um, like your single parents, single person per se takes the standard deduction. So it really just depends on your situation. You would have to see what that person qualifies for to make that determination what's going to be a better fit for them. And then look like we have another comment as well. What about college tuition? So college tuition is actually a refundable credit. So, like if you went to college and took up a few courses, you'll get a 1098T form. And that 1098T form will have if you had any scholarships or grants, but it'll also have on that form how much you paid for school, whether it was out of pocket or not. And when you add that to your tax return, it actually give you a refundable credit. So that is a good one to have. If you went to school, you definitely want to add that. But the only thing is with that refundable credit is called the American Opportunity Credit. You only can qualify for it for up to 4 years. That's the only thing. So let's just say you in school for 6 to 8 years, then you no longer qualify for the American Opportunity Credit.
So, Monique, I have a question about that I've heard in my comings and goings.
Mm-hmm.
What about if you're a parent and you took out a student loan to help pay for your students' college tuition and you're paying on that? Do you get a deduction for that?
Yes, that's considered an itemized deduction as well. So you should get a student loan entrance statement form.
Okay.
Yep,
Good
that's
stuff.
another.
Good stuff. Does anybody else have any more questions? These are good questions, guys. Thank you all for asking lots of questions and being very interactive. We definitely appreciate it. Um, let's see. Anything else you want to touch on, Monique? That seems relevant. Oh,
Um,
can we talk a little bit about dependents and unearned, like, do you see a lot of issues with children earning having unearned income and having to file it on the parents' return? Do you see any situations like that?
so that is a good one, Jen, because I had a lot of people like during that COVID time and even for the last couple of years say, "Hey, my children have a summer job and they work. Do I have to report their income on my tax return?" And that answer is no, you do not. That's their income. That's not your income. So you don't have to merge that with your income. Now, let's just say you have a dependent that let's just say they're 18 but they're off to college. Two factors to that is one, do you still claim that child on your tax return? I hear a lot of people say, well, they in school and they work their own job, so can I still claim them? It really just depends on how much money they're making while they're in school, because the rule of thumb is you can claim your child up to 24 as long as they're in college, but then you have to see how much money they made, because if they made over that threshold, then they have to file their own taxes, and then of course they would benefit from getting the college credit and things like that. But far as like, just let's just say they did not go to school and they was just working, that rule still applies. You got to see how much money they made to see if you can still claim them as a dependent. And if they made under the threshold, you don't add their income to yours. You'll just file them as a dependent. But the dependent can also file their own tax return and you claim them too. And you probably like, what you mean, Jen? I mean, Monique, right? It's like, so some kids have taxes taken out of their checks, right? So they want to recoup money at the end of the year. So you can claim your child as a dependent, but then they can also claim their self, but they would just have to put on their tax return that they can be claimed as a dependent. So it can actually work both ways. So you just got to really like look at the situation and uncover the numbers really to determine what's going to be the best situation for your client.
Absolutely. 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 Wow, we're almost at an hour already. We talking some good stuff. Time definitely flies when we're talking great information. Thank you all for the questions. And so, right now we're gonna just take some time, because we thought the idea of talking about taxes and getting prepared for your taxes is important. Not just because it's important to you, not just because it's important for your personal finance, but because we're able to help you with that as well. And so I'll just let Monique, just talk a little bit about how she can be able to give you some assistance this tax season.
Okay, so for my newbies that don't know me, I've been a tax professional for over 14 years. Super excited about that. So tax time is definitely my favorite time, right? And it doesn't start for me in January. It actually starts November 1st, funny enough. I have tax clients calling, texting me. They're ready to get, their taxes done in November if they could, right? Because the holidays is here. So a lot of people, we found that this was a good time to talk about this because um, people are out spending money for the holidays and they know tax season is right around the corner and they want to know how fast they can get their refund, right? So we're definitely in preparation for tax season to be rolling out in full effect. And normally in January is when, of course, we can find out when the first day that you can e-file. I don't have that information for you today. But I love everything about numbers. Like, this is my passion. Let's just go back a little bit. When I first started my business, like Jen said, thinking I had to work 80 plus hours, I actually started off working at Liberty Tax part time in addition to my full time job. And I worked there for 4 years and realized, and I seen the potential and the growth that could come out of it if I did it on my own. And from there, I literally branched off with, another tax professional, and he kind of showed me the ropes to what to do. And I stuck with it. Trials, tribulations, but I knew that 4 months in the grind, let's get it done, it's gonna be over with, right? And then of course you still want to be available for your clients throughout the whole year. So I built relationships over the years with certain clients, so they can call and text me, about anything, how to fill out the W-4 forms if they have questions about, what should they put on paperwork, or what can they do to get ready for tax time. I'm always available. So um, I'm just here to help. I'm always looking for ways for my clients to not have to owe the IRS or owe the state as much. You know what I mean? So it's very important for me to stay updated with the tax laws. So I'm always, thinking and improving and, researching ways to make tax time as smooth as possible for me and as smooth as possible for you, but also making sure that you're coming to me and getting what you want out of it ultimately. I mean, I can't help everybody not owe the IRS or not owe the state, because again, W-2 employees, the IRS just really doesn't give you any tax breaks. It just is what it is. The more money you make, the more problems. And if you're not paying into your taxes, or you're not, again, using these certain tax vehicles to lower your adjusted your tax liability throughout the year, then it's nothing that the professional can do. You know what I mean? I hear that a lot across the board with a lot of professionals, people that you think you could just make miracles happen, and it doesn't always work like that. We gotta like work together if we want this thing to work, right? So, yeah, I'm just super excited about tax time, and I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. Jen, I know you are too.
Yep. What's your website, Monique, for people that want to visit?
It's pretty long. You could put it in a chat though. It's Maravana Tax Prep Services LLC. Um, I have a full website where you can upload your documents. Ever since COVID, we do a lot of things virtually. So I created this website for you to be able to book your appointments on the website, for you to upload any documents, and then it goes to a secure portal, so it's not, your information is just not out there. And we can normally hop on a Zoom if you want to make it, easy, where you don't have to come in office, but you're more than welcome to come into the office to get your taxes done.
That sounds good. That sounds good, Monique. And so, I mean, it's kind of hard to come after that, but so as you all know, I have the education, I have the tax education, and I was so scared to do it because of what I heard that I turned a blind eye and never looked back until I was introduced to a business that sparked my entrepreneurship, and I realized this is what I wanted to do. But then I realized I was missing a very, very important piece of what it is that of how it is I can help the person in all things finance, which was tax preparation. And so, with the help of my gym twin Monique, I was able to, get my stuff together, get the practical experience. And, I had the license, but I just sat on it. I just didn't, I was too scared. And so, with her help, I was able to get, my business underway. And, and so I started JMJ and Company JMJ and Company Services LLC. I still forget what that is sometimes. It's so new. And I have a virtual accounting, bookkeeping, and tax prep service in which I, help people throughout the full cycle of their financial journey. And so, I as well will be taking on new clients as well this upcoming 2024. It's kind of hard. It's kind of amazing to think about it. Because me and Monique would have many of conversations about it because she was just like when we talked, because we were joined in business maybe about a year ago this time, and when we really
Mhm.
started getting to know each other, and she realized that I had a whole like accounting degree. She was like, and then she realized I didn't do taxes. She was like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I didn't want to do it. They said it was 80 hours. I didn't want to work 80 hours a week." And so she was like, "Girl," and then even when I came to, I took a job at another tax prep company, which I won't say the name, and got and then when I did that last year, and I realized I can't do this. Like I can't do this. I can't be controlled with me wanting to help a client but being constricted by the company's rules and regulations to the point where I can't help them the way that I know they need to be helped because I'm talking to them on the phone, but I'm only obligated to say these certain words. And when I realized how much of a constraint that was, I was like, yeah, let me go on ahead. I got the license. Let me go on ahead and just make this thing a reality. And then that's when um, Monique came into my life, and it was just like a godsend. So yes, so I will also be taking clients. You can go to my site as well, www.jmjandcoservices.com. And you know, we're definitely both here to help you, guide you through this tax season. Um, because we know it can be stressful. We know it can be nerve wracking. A lot of people have like almost heart attacks over this kind of stuff because they're unsure. And so, because they're unsure, they don't take the necessary steps to put them in a better position so that, they can get through the tax season with ease. So, we're definitely here. And that's why we wanted to dedicate this hour to really get into it and really discuss some of the topics that we've been hearing and give information that can help people. As always, we're always here to help. You can always ask us questions after the fact. Definitely subscribe to our page, Gems, the number 2, Money, the number 23 on YouTube. Keep following both of us so you can definitely get the latest tips and news and insight on all things finance, money, and taxes. Monique, did you have any last words you wanted to say?
No, Jen, you kind of summed it up. Like good stuff, good stuff. I'm glad we were able to get this information out to you guys this evening. Thanks for tuning in with us. We'll definitely keep dropping these gems as much as possible. We just ultimately want everybody to win, and it's no reason to hold back the information if we have it. We just want to get it out there to everybody. So that's all I have.
Absolutely. And we're going to start, having some very special guests come on as we, continue our series, continue our broadcast. As always, please let us know if you have ideas for topics that you would like us to discuss that we haven't already discussed thus far. This is the start of something big, and we're super excited. So, I'm Jen,
And I'm Monique.
and we are
Gems to
Gems to
Monday.
Money. We will see y'all next week. All right. All right. Y'all take care. Peace out.
Good night.